These are the people who I want to appeal to. Make those little slips. It happens. You have to have a plan to manage your problems effectively. How are you going to do it? Fall off the horse? Jump right back on.
And welcome back. It is that time of the morning, a Friday morning actually, the first Friday of the year, and for the first one, we are graced with this lovely lady, Jenny Lovell.
Look at you!
I'm all creoled out today.
I know. Looking fantastic.
Good morning, Belize.
Does this mean 2019 is off to a right start for you?
It's off to a colorful start.
Yes.
You're always colorful. By personality alone.
That's true. By
Yeah.
personality, you're so colorful. So nice to have you in.
Let me think about that.
Jenny, it's so great to have you.
Oh, yes,
it is
it
the
is.
first Friday of 2019. Our first Bruk It Down with Jenny.
Yes.
And you are going to Bruk down how to get through this whole year.
Actually, no, we're not.
What? No. That's what we're going to
topic,
do.
basically, the topic we needed to assess. I think it got pushed back a little bit last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we needed to close out the year. We needed to assess
Okay.
how we did in 2018, and
Okay.
then you make plans for 2019.
So we got to look back before we look forward.
We look forward, yeah.
Okay, that's good.
And if you don't, you make some of the same mistakes if you don't go and look at what didn't work.
Okay.
So it's very important to look. And so we'll do that, and then we'll sort of look a little bit at forward.
Okay.
But we'll talk some more later on about goals.
That's
but you know how I feel about resolutions.
Yes.
I think it's a setup for a culture of failure.
Yeah.
It is. You know, people go in thinking, okay, well, this is going to be for a week. It's going to be, or maybe if you started everything on Mondays, every Monday you start new, or every Monday you set some new goal, right? But you really don't want to set yourself up for failure right out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So setting a goal isn't bad. It's just how I've said this from the beginning of the new year. If anybody wants to change themselves, why should we judge them though?
Right.
Yeah, I think
we don't want
it's
to judge
just
them.
setting a plan in place that you can do it.
And the thing is that if you listen to metaphysical things, or the broadcasts, or you read, you understand about intentions.
Yeah.
You have to set an intention, and then you set your goal and you follow through.
Yeah.
But you have to, a lot of us just sort of meander through life and we don't think about any of these things.
Yeah.
And it's so important for us to set goals if you want to. How do you know you reached what you wanted if you never
haven't set
set anything?
Oh, I want to jump in there, and I know this is way off topic, and I think a part of or exposure on the show, it really helps us a lot. The eye openers that we've been doing from the beginning, and a lot of thought-provoking conversations with you and with others. It reminds you how important self-awareness is. But you know what frightens me? I've met quite a few people who have no interest in self-awareness. It's literally just, listen, we got to work, pay the bills, get the kids to school, and every single day it's so chore oriented rather than a larger vision of life. And I don't know,
I see it too.
how is that possible?
But there's a lot of folks just sort of, they wake up, they go through the day, they go to sleep, and then they start over again in the morning.
It's not a routine.
It's a routine, but how do you do it?
Yeah.
It's so
vague.
it's just not fulfilling. And we all come here with a purpose. We all come here with a plan.
Yeah.
And if we're not living up to it spiritually, physically, some way, then what's the point?
Yeah.
And so I always hope that when we do something like this, ask people questions and have them reflect. Some people will just look and go, "You're crazy," But it's so important.
Who has time for that nonsense?
It's so
crazy.
important. Really
I just think, I think, and that's why I wanted to start there, because I know there are some people who watch this and say, "Oh, please, I manage half my life so far without having to deal with this, or I'm doing fine. I'm young and I don't have to think about these things." But it makes a big difference, even just understanding your own behavior.
I mean, something simple as, I want to start saving, because I want to, at the end of 10 years, I want to have this much money. Or at the end of next year, I'd like to take a vacation, right? But you can't just meander through life and go day to day. You'll never get to do any of the things that you think you want to do unless you have some form of a plan, some goal in life.
That's true.
You know?
And I guess that really does answer the very first question that you have prepared for us. Why planning is important.
Well, what I want to do, let me just hold on for a minute, backtrack. I want us to look, this is really called How to Review Your 2018. What was your 2018 like? Last time we talked about this was in January last year.
1 year ago.
Did anybody bother to go through and do any kind of goal setting? Did anyone do it? How was it? Did you accomplish any of them? Did you accomplish part of it?
Yeah,
right?
I did.
Yeah.
I had some goals for this year that I actually managed to do, and it felt great.
Fulfilling, isn't it?
Great.
It's wonderful when you are able to do that.
I think there was one conversation, and that's what I was telling you. Last year we did these reflective questions, and I think something about the conversation said, what do you keep on putting off? Putting off. And there was a training I wanted to do for many years. Yeah. And I said, you know what? This year is the year. It doesn't matter how. I did do it. It doesn't matter. And I did it. And it was just exactly what I needed at this point in my career. And I think that, professional development is important. Sometimes opportunities don't come, and you have to make the opportunities for yourself. But what was most important is I kept on seeing myself putting it off every year. And at the close of the year, I'm like, next year I'll do it.
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah, and
now I have to find a new one. That's
the thing is that when you set that intention, the universe responds.
Yeah.
It provides. It happens. You don't have to worry about the how. As long as you put it out there that this is what you want, and you truly believe it, the universe rises up and meets you, and it happens.
And I like the segue to it for the fact that a lot of people worry about the how.
Yeah.
As long as you start, you're so good within, the how will eventually come to you.
The how happens.
And you will get there. So congratulations.
And when you put it out into the universe, I think that's part of the accountability and you've said this so many times. You say, talk about it, tell people, do things. And it really makes a difference because, if I tell you, I want to lose 10 pounds or, I think that's I want to improve on communication skills or be a better listener, right? Or let's go even easier. I want to spend more time with my family, right? Because all of those are harder to do. So, but if I tell you that, then the next time you see me, you'll ask me how it's going. And I have to be accountable.
Right.
And sometimes it means I have to say, well, I haven't quite gotten around to it. And then that guilt and those feelings inside of me build up, and then I have to do it.
But you see, you also said to your family, I'd like to be able to spend more time with you folks. Okay. Right. And you see what happens then, they also begin to then want to do the same thing. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Like we'll actually stay up beyond 8 o'clock, stay together beyond 8 o'clock when I'm done with work. Yeah.
Right.
That's great.
We make it happen.
Yeah.
Anyway, why is planning a good thing? Well, it's a good habit to have.
Yes.
And I really want people to hear that and really buy into it. It's really a good habit to make plans. You have long-term plans, you have short-term plans. The short-term plans should really be feeding into the long-term plan. Yeah. Right? It's not stand on its own. Right? You can see your successes, you can also see your sorrows, the things that you don't get accomplished. But the point is then you know what you need to work on for next year. Yeah. Right? You realize how much can happen in just 1 year. At the end of the year, January, it seemed like January just went and came really, really quickly this year, didn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just me, but
no, it's all of us.
It just went so, it flew, You realize all the things that can happen in a year, all the things that can happen in a day. If you go by New Year's Day, right? Yeah. By learning from the past, you can plan for your future. You have to learn about what worked, what didn't work, why it didn't work, right? And you feel more in control of your own life, That's
the importance of a reflection. You reflect.
Yeah. So some critical questions about last year. What did you do that you want to do more of?
I want to become.
No answer.
I always say something.
I'd
love to answer it. Reason being is because it is an essential question for me. What did I do that I want to be better at? A better dad, a better husband,
Yeah.
a better person to the people who I mingle with. And that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Good. I like that. Are there things that you want to do less of?
Yeah. There are a few things.
Spend time on my phone. Yeah. You really never realize, and the phones become more updated now that they're telling you
They're
the
telling
time that
you.
you're spending on
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
phone.
Oh,
And
I
I'm
know.
hearing all these studies coming out about what it's doing to our brains and or our capacity to learn or anxiety levels. I really want to get it under control. And that's
Plan.
because I'm not as bad as a lot of people that I know.
know.
That's
I'm
true.
actually
That's
a minimal user compared to others.
Yeah. They
know.
need to have
Yeah.
it there.
I know.
Driving, it doesn't matter where they are.
Yeah.
See?
I am always amazed at people who they have to be with that phone that they're driving and they have to
Yeah.
take it out. They have to answer it,
Yeah. That's. I think a lot of us probably have that.
What
one.
worked for you this past year? What didn't work for you this past year? Those are some questions I want people to consider, right? What were you happiest doing? I know you went away. I was
Achieving a goal.
Yes.
A goal that had been
Yes.
outstanding for a very long
Yes.
time. Yeah.
and it was amazing. It was amazing watching you, you know?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
It makes one flourish.
Yeah.
That's true.
What were your finances like last year?
Can we skip that one?
What stressed you out the most last year? What stressed you out? How do you feel about the last year overall? What was last year like for you overall? No, these are reflective questions that I really want you to
Yeah.
think about.
And it really puts in your mind to reflect. So when you're reading the questions, it's in my mind, just,
The
going
answers
around.
are coming
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that question, I think for a long time I felt it had to be black or white. It had to be a good year or a bad year. It was a mixed bag.
Right,
There were parts
right.
of the year that were a lot harder and there were parts of the year that were far more enjoyable.
But do you see how now, looking back, you can decide what parts of the year,
Defines it.
right?
Yeah.
And how next year, this year, when you do your planning, when you decide on what your goals are this year,
Yeah.
I decided I wanted to work on my Spanish.
Really?
That's a good
Yeah,
one.
and
Yeah.
so I've been doing that, right? And there's so many things. There's lots of little things that I wanted to do
Yeah.
that I put into my goal for the
Pick
year.
up another
And-
language. Cool.
yeah.
Okay.
So steps in preparing a life plan. Now I didn't want to call it goal setting. I wanted to call it a life plan.
Yeah.
And there's actually a booklet, several booklets. You can be Googled. Download it. The one that I really liked was this one called The Year Ahead. And you look at 2018 and then you start planning for 2019.
Yeah.
And you actually set your intention. I believe anything is possible this year. Remember I said, if you believe it, put it out to the universe. Don't worry about the how. Put it out there. Write it down here. Sign it.
It's a
Anything.
contract with
It's
yourself.
a contract for yourself.
Nice.
Right.
Nice.
So the steps. 1, how would you rate your life? Are you satisfied with the way that your life is right now? Are you somewhat satisfied? Are you very satisfied? Are you dissatisfied? Right? You have to do that assessment.
And I love you're talking about all aspects of your life.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. You never really have equilibrium. I mean, there's always one part that's a little out of whack.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
Your health goes down, or your relationships get bad, or tough times at work, or
Yeah.
sometimes it's not even you. It's like your kids or your family member who's struggling.
Exactly, exactly. So you're reflecting on that because these are how you're going to be looking at your goals, writing your goals, right? Number 2, it should be number 2.
Yeah.
What's going on in your life right now?
Oh, that's
Briefly summarize your life. It's up here. Briefly summarize your life right now. And that means go over your health, everything. Finances, your career, relationships with
Spirituality.
family, relationship with boyfriend, relationships, the work relationships. Look at those. What's going on right now in all these different areas? Okay. Some people will say, well, I don't need to go to church. I go to the church of the open outdoors, etc. we're spiritual beings. We've got to take care of that part of us. Because if we don't, we have disequilibrium. So it's not just about the mental health or the physical health. We have to also take care of the spiritual health, you know? What makes you happy? What makes you happy? What do you enjoy doing? What's going well in your life, in your activities, in everything that you do? What makes you happy? What drains you? What sucks out your energy? What toxic people or toxic relationships are you engaged in that you need to revise, revisit, look at?
How important is it that you do both sides of this? Because I can immediately think of people who would focus on, I can talk about what made me happy, and there's some who are very easily inclined to talk about what makes them sad. You have to do both.
You need to do both. Otherwise, if you look at this, you'll get depressed. You will look only at the sad things or the bad things. You're going to become depressed. You're going to become down.
Yeah.
Because we all have toxic people in our lives. All of us.
Yeah.
We do.
Nobody gets to be exempt from it.
Yeah.
Right. You also look at the happy times. You look at the people who do raise you up, the people who make you do something really positive in your life, right? What behaviors, what situation choices cause you stress, put you in a negative mood? We all have some of these people, we do.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. What isn't working in your life?
Oh, you're asking the question?
No, I'm asking you to reflect. I want you to
She's
reflect.
leaving that wonderful pause for us to all think.
And that's the thing that, it gives us the ability to reflect.
What isn't working
What's
in your
not working?
life? Yeah.
That's a very good question.
You got to
ask
name
yourself.
it.
Yeah. Where do you want to improve?
Can I just go back for a second? I was having a conversation with a friend of mine on New Year's Eve, and I think that was one of the questions that couldn't be answered for that person. It was, I don't feel good about going into a next year or how this year went.
Yeah.
How do you develop the skills to name what it is that's addressing you? Is there a way that you can help someone, especially when they don't have that or they haven't had the time to do the self-awareness? How do you start to zero in on what is causing that icky feeling, whether it's at the end of the day, the month, or the year?
So you would ask them, basically I would ask them to start with the mental, the physical, right?
Okay.
What kinds of things are happening? What are you stressed out about? What stresses you out? What makes you sad? Who makes you sad? How often do they make you sad? So you start there. Or who makes you angry? Nobody can make you angry, by the way. Nobody can make you angry. You're choosing to get angry. That's stuff that people do. But so we want to ask them to, what are you getting angry about?
Yeah.
That icky feeling that you're feeling, that emptiness. What aren't you doing to fill the voids? I know some people give up when they give up substances, like they decide they can't drink because they can't manage it. You can't just take away the drinking and not put something in to fill that void. Because otherwise you're going to go back to drinking.
Yeah.
That's true.
Right?
But at what point do you ask yourself, after all those questions, at what point do you ask yourself, is it me?
Ooh, good question. Good
So many things
question.
are to think
Because
about.
you know what? If you don't look at yourself, that
That
means
is true.
that could be narcissism.
Yeah.
You really have to self-reflect.
Yeah.
What am I doing that maybe might be turning a lot of folks off? Or what am I doing that's making everyone angry
Making
with me?
everything else around me
Is
toxic.
that person really making me angry? Is that person not the person that I'm supposed to hang out with? So these are some of the questions that I think that should ask. And the most important is it me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you
That's
reevaluate yourself.
really
If
good.
every situation around me is bad,
Yeah.
then
I have to look inward.
I have to start thinking, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very good question, John. Thank you.
We think about it. It's your fault.
So, what is working in your life? Where do you want to improve? What parts of your life do you want to improve, need to improve? What are the obstacles to you living a fulfilling and happy life? Right? What are the lingering challenges in your life? Things that keep going year after year after year, you have the same challenges in your life. What have you done to correct them? Why are you still in the situation? if you haven't, why haven't you done something about it? What's stopping you? So instead of blaming or looking outward, I need to start looking inward and finding out why am I not doing something about it?
Yeah.
Right. Do you need better stress management? Do you need balance in your life?
Yeah.
Do you need to learn to laugh again? You have
We
friends
all
where
need to
they,
invest in laughing a bit more.
Yeah.
Na Miguel, I laugh all
that's-
the time.
Yeah, I go on bad too.
I find my niece when I need joy. Kids can do that.
Yeah,
really,
kids can.
really, they just bring out
Yeah.
happiness inside of
Yeah,
you.
they do.
You just didn't know was there, even
Yeah,
in the
they do.
worst day.
And you got the cutest niece.
Oh,
Oh
she
my
called me
goodness.
yesterday and said, "I missed you. I missed you all day." See, it makes me happy now. But they really, and that's why it's good to spend quality time with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What would your ideal life look like? What kind of life would make you happy to get out of bed in the morning? What do you need to make you happy to get out of bed? Yeah. Me? I'm just happy to get up in the morning and still have two legs that work and two eyes that see.
Some days that's what I rely on. If it's a day that it's like, for some reason I'm not looking forward to it. Maybe I just didn't get enough sleep, or 4 a.m. is always early, no matter what.
Yeah.
And some days I say, you know what, I can breathe. I can open my eyes.
Yeah.
I can get up. I have,
Yeah.
what I need in the house. I have a way to get to work. I have work.
You have
Yeah.
work. You have a niece
Yeah.
that loves you.
Yeah, I
You
have a health.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, we start there.
These are the
If we
things
can
to
start
reflect
just
on.
there,
Yeah.
right?
These are the things to
Reflect
reflect
there.
on.
Yep. What would you be doing and with whom would you be? How would you be feeling? Right. And then further on, what goals do you need to make to get from here to there? What goals do you need to make?
Yeah.
And you don't need to make a whole lot of goals.
Oh.
You can make one long-term goal or maybe two long-term goals, and then you have your little short-term goals to
Goals
reach
within that would eventually
Right.
fill that void right there to get to that
Yeah.
long-term goal.
What new habits do you need to learn?
Playing instruments.
How does your attitude need to change? Because if you're not grateful for what you have, how can you go out there and want more? You have to start by being grateful for what I have.
Yeah.
Right? What do I need to change about me
Yeah.
to appreciate what's around me?
Yeah. Deep questions,
Yeah.
Jenny.
Yeah.
Because we're
Gosh.
not perfect.
No, we're
Everybody
not.
has something we gotta fix, work on, improve.
Bring them on.
Take
Good
completely
for-
out of our life sometimes too.
Yep. Yeah.
It's good to reflect on these, though.
And then I have some food for thought here. What do
Food
you
for thought.
really want to accomplish in this life? What kind of a person do you want to be? What is most important to you in life? Why do you want whatever it is that you think you want?
Ha. That next question.
How would you like to be remembered?
Yeah.
Life is so short. I mean, things happen so quickly. You just told me something here that just shocked me.
Yeah.
Things happen so quickly. We need to appreciate people and appreciate them for who they are right now, all the time.
Yeah.
We don't wait I'll wait until next year to hug them. I'll wait until next year. I'll send a letter or whatever. We need to do things right
Right
now.
now.
Show people we love them. Give them their flowers now.
Yeah.
And tell them what
Tell
you
them.
love about them too.
Yep.
We always wait for the perfect occasion to say something or do something.
Yeah.
And you just never know.
You
You
never
don't
know.
know.
Every
It
occasion
doesn't
is a
matter
perfect
what
one.
age
Don't
you
know.
are. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. We really take so much for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. And finally, what will your life be like if you don't change it from the way it is now? And from that's how then you build what your goal will be or what goal you need to set for yourself.
I love the last question because the last question for me summarizes or sums up everything else that we've asked. Because if you look at it and say, what will your life be? What will your life be like if you don't change the way it is right now? That brings me back to one, we've got to reflect on then. Reflect on now and change it for tomorrow. So that question there summarizes everything for me. Set the goal.
Yeah.
So I have a question. So how do you? This is a personal process. This is something you have to do on your own.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But then you also have to coexist with others as well. So if you have your spouse, how do you set goals together? How do you make sure your goals isn't isolating someone else or that they're on the same page? How do you ensure that that's...
Well, I would think, Marlene, if you're married or if you're in a committed relationship, you sit together and you make goals together.
No. When you said married or committed relationship, I raised my hand because that's exactly where I am. And you know, one of the questions, and I love her question, but it also brings me to think that what we like to do in relationships, that instead of being a part of it, especially when it comes to making the decisions, we tend to bandwagon. And I think this is where the conversation needs to be, and it reflects
What do you
to
mean,
me.
bandwagon?
Bandwagon meaning that okay, baby, whatever you
What
want,
do you say?
love.
Like
make
one
the
decision
decisions,
maker.
make the decision,
Yeah.
and that's not healthy for the relationship because many a times we would see and it's made, then you say,
So would you suggest you'd sit down and individually do it, then perhaps share
Then
it
go together.
Go together.
Sit together
Yeah.
after. But you see, you may have your idea of goals and your partner will have his idea of goals. So what you do, you both fill this out. Or you can do it as a group.
Yeah.
You can do a group. You can do this as a family.
Yeah, I was
really.
going to say with the kids too, get
Yes.
them involved with
Yes.
it.
They
Especially
must be.
teenagers.
Yes.
It is a part of the growing up process.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, see, I believe that change occurs slowly, and in Belize, we hopefully are educating people about the real importance. We've been talking about this long enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, and I hope that folks know and learn that it's so important to set goals. Resolutions, I really believe when you say I make a resolution, you know you're going to break it in a few days. So you're setting yourself up and saying, I'm going to fail at this anyway.
Yeah.
Right? So it becomes a culture of failure. So it's really important to set goals, right? I have nothing against resolutions, you know. I really don't. But I really want people to also think about making long-term goals that will last the whole year. And things that you can accomplish and you feel good about it when you accomplish them. Now, going back to your question about how do you make goals if you make it in isolation or with your partner? No, you want to get together and work, decide on what the family goals are. You would have your
Because
own...
we could be moving in totally different directions.
Right.
If we do that together, you know, I may be thinking, I don't know, whatever.
I would like to have a child this year.
Yeah.
And I don't, no, we don't. I don't.
Or I may have, okay, this is the year I'm getting my house.
I'd like to get that car from, you know, brand new car.
So I love that. And I love the idea of involving. I always say let's involve the kids. If we teach them these habits now, then they are better equipped than we are in the future.
Of course.
Absolutely.
And for me to summarize, when we teach them the best way, it leaves the legacy to last.
Yes.
Okay.
That's for me.
Thank you.
I love
Thank you, Jenny. Very reflective conversation. And as you said, you can Google this, The Year Ahead. It's a workbook. You can do it on your own.
Yep.
Take the time, invest
Please
in
take
you,
the time, yes.
and make yourself more happy for 2019. We are getting ready to wrap up this segment. But actually, at this time, we do want to take a moment. We do want to extend our condolences. We have received word this morning that Joseph Sampson has passed away. Joseph Sampson, for anybody who is a regular viewer of Channel 5, has participated with us in many different ways. He's been on the show in his capacity as a historian. He's been on the show as a co-host. He's helped us with our election coverage in so much political analysis. And that's just the work that he did here. He was such a great spirit to have around and really enriched a lot of the conversations we've had over the past few years. And so it is very shocking news to us this morning. That's what you were referencing, Jenny, and just reminding us how precious life is, and you just never know when it's going to be the last time you see someone. We imagine this is a very difficult time for his family, and we do want to extend our condolences to his family at the university, and to those who have been impacted by the life and work of Joseph Sampson.
Yeah, and for me, one of the things that we take away from it is the legacy, like we mentioned, and for the fact that we've learned a lot from a historian, we've learned a lot from a true Belizean patriot, and I think that's one of the things that we should keep in mind, because as much as physically gone, mentally he's right there with us.
And I think if he were to answer one of those questions, I definitely think that one of the things we'll always remember him by is his passion for the development of this country. And so when someone can leave such a clear message behind as to what they represent, it is absolutely, I feel that it's a calling that anybody who appreciated him and respected him can keep going in his memory. So once again, we have confirmed this morning that Joseph Sampson, historian, he was a politician, and also a contributor to our shows here at Channel 5, passed away, and so we extend our condolences. And with that, we do have to take a break and keep our show going, so we will be back in a few.
These are the people who I want to appeal to. Make those little slips. It happens. You have to have a plan to manage your problems effectively. How are you going to do it? Fall off the horse? Jump right back on.